This is a sports show. I'm Woody Paige, presented by the Denver Post and all of our good sponsors, and we'll spend the next half hour and a half, actually about 2 hours, having great guests. And can't think of a better one to start with than Gary Myers, who I've known forever. That's not important to him in his life, but one of the great sports journalists and one of the great writers in the country. And let's get right into it. You have written a book that is. And I should have brought it, but it's the Brady Manning rivalry over the years. And now they've met for 17 times. The most recent one, let's start with that. Was that the best?
No, I think the best one, Woody, was...
Yeah, let me
sorry
get you wrapped up there.
Oh, yeah, we go. There we go.
Yeah,
I should know better than that. I think the best one was the 2006 AFC Championship game, Indianapolis and New England. Indianapolis came from way down. I think they were down 21-6 early. It came down to Brady throwing an interception on the last series of the game, and it sent Peyton to his first Super Bowl. And it was like he finally had beaten Brady in the playoffs after Brady had dominated him in the regular season and the playoffs, for the previous 3-4 years. So I think that was the best one. This was definitely number 2 on the list, playoffs or regular season. Just a really compelling finish, coming down to a 2-point conversion. No need to get into the particulars. I think that Belichick blew the game by not kicking a field goal with 5 minutes to go, and then only needing a touchdown without the conversion to win it, or 2 more field goals.
See, I'm going to disagree with you. We're going to stop you there. Gronkowski was wide open on the 2-point conversion.
Yeah, I know, but there's a lot of plays that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There was, maybe he didn't see him because there was pressure, or I've been told
to his right.
I've been told that I got to go back and watch that play because enough people have told me that Gronk was wide open, but I don't know that. I didn't see that for myself to see if it was a play that he could have made. But to me, Woody, 5 minutes and 20 seconds to go. You got 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. You're down 8. Get it down to a 1-score game, because even though they're down 8, it's still a 2-score game because of the conversion you have to make. That's not an automatic, obviously. So have a little faith in your defense that they can stop Peyton at that point and get the ball back. And it turns out they got the ball back twice.
Gary Myers from the New York Daily News. You've been there for how long now? And
I've been at the Daily News since '89. I've been covering the league since '78.
Yeah, because prior to the Daily News,
I was at the Dallas Morning News.
And that's where I first met you.
Yeah.
And you can get the book on Amazon. I know that. Right. I'm sure you can get it at all the major bookstores and find it whoever else. iTunes sells books. I know having
you can get it on your iPad if you want.
Yeah, Amazon.
Yeah, I like to have I also have a book in my hand.
Yeah, except Kindle now has kind of become, as much as I love books, and I still have, and my daughter bought me real books for Christmas because she said, "Dad, we can't give up real books." And there's great sense because she said, "You taught me to read books. You have to keep reading books, but it's sometimes convenient, and you buy it on Kindle through Amazon and stuff like that." And the publishers,
it's Crown Publishing, and part of Random House,
and it's about the history of the Manning in leading up to the game. I was looking for rivalries that aren't the normal ones. Martina and Chris Everett, Bird Magic, and I ended up finding things like the Pope against King Edward against the Vicar of Canterbury.
How about the North against the South in the Civil War?
Yeah, that was But in terms of sports, and there have been, Federer and Nadal.
And Borg and McEnroe.
And there have been such great rivalries in sports. And what's funny about this one is they never on the field at the same time. But yet, I went back through football. And you go back before the Super Bowl. And because of ESPN coming around in 1979, we tend to measure everything since ESPN got tape. But there were some good quarterback rivalries in the 50s in the NFL, but nothing. And I looked. Kelly against Marino, because they played a lot of times. But really, there isn't anything that surpasses Peyton and Manning.
More than Kelly and Marino, at least in the perception of football fans, was Marino and Elway. And I point out in the book, they faced each other 3 times.
Yeah.
2 of them in John's last year in 1998. So I think those are the guys that we tend to really identify with each other as, Marino and Elway. But, certainly Marino and Kelly being in the same division, they face each other twice a year. It's just because the way the schedule, the formula for the schedule, back in the 80s and the early part of the 90s, that it didn't, if you finished in the same spot in the standings, it didn't necessarily guarantee you're going to play each other. And that's why Brady and Manning have played each other basically every year because of that. And then they've met each other now 5 times in the playoffs, which is tremendous. And it's just great for the league. Now, I'm of the opinion, I don't know how you stand on this, I definitely think Peyton is done after Sunday. I know there's stories out today about the Rams being interested, and that does make sense to try to sell tickets. Hollywood, bringing Peyton Manning, they have a good defense with the Rams, but I don't see that. I don't see Peyton wanting to put himself through it again physically as he has now the last 2 years. Enough is enough. It's so hard to get to where he is right now in the Super Bowl, and it would take so much for him to get back to it next year, whether he's playing in Denver, which I doubt, or he wound up with the LA Rams or the Houston Texans. I just don't see himself wanting to put himself through it again.
Sure. There were moments I thought when he was injured, and I told you the other night, I thought about you when New England came to Denver in the regular season. I went, boy, here's the great wrap-up, and the book will sell big and everything, and then suddenly Peyton's not playing in the game. And I thought, he didn't want to end last year, and you know this. He didn't want to end. I saw his kids in the hallway. They were 3 years old, twins, and his wife, and they were crying in the hallway. And I said, Elway doesn't want to go out like this. He doesn't want that to be not his last memory, but
his kids.
His kids.
Yeah.
And so they're now at 4, they actually understand. He's taken them to practice. He brought Marshall to the post-game press conference after New England. I saw the kids again in the hallway. It's irony that I run into his wife. We're from the same town, Memphis, and we talk about where we went to high school and stuff. We don't have football conversations. She doesn't talk about football or HGH for that matter. And when I saw her and the kids this time, and I went, now he can go out, because even if he doesn't win the Super Bowl, they have seen him win the big game, the game between Brady and Manning. So I knew at that point. I thought early, well, maybe Texas because it's indoors and it's in a division he's familiar with. And then the Rams thing came up, and I said, no, there's $20 million. A guy, and in doing your research and having covered the league for so long, Manning's made more money than anybody in history of football.
That's right.
His contracts have been bigger than Brady's, bigger than anybody else. So he's got enough money. He's an owner of a bunch of Papa John's. He's got all the other commercials. He'll still be a representative for somebody. I think a year from now he'll be running the Tennessee Titans.
I agree with that.
In the same role as John Elway. You don't want to play. So win or lose. John Elway wanted to come back another time. And people were trying to make a comparison between now and then. And John, you may remember, there really wasn't a lot of talk at that Super Bowl about, is this your last game?
Right.
Not like this, because John's skills had diminished, but he had such a great running game, and in the game against Atlanta, he threw for over 300 yards, if I remember. It was MVP. And I told somebody the other day, during the hockey playoffs, I went out to Carmel here to Spyglass, and he was in a charity tournament. He walked off the 18th green and he could barely walk.
Yeah.
And I said to him, John, are you going to play again? He said, I don't want to go through the rehabilitation. And he said, I'm not going to tell you I'm retiring. I'm not going to go through he was telling me he was retiring by telling me in the line, because he said, I want to wait till I have a press conference. But he said, and I talked to someone, we're all like this. I talked to someone as close to Peyton Manning almost as you can get, and he said, Peyton told me he's ready. And I said, ready for the Super Bowl? No, he's ready. That means he's ready for it to be over with.
Yeah, and I think there's some similarities. Elway's last season, if I remember correctly, he missed a bunch of games with injuries, and that's when
Bubby Brister came in and played 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, and they were 14-0 until they lost that game to the Giants on the last second touchdown at the Meadowlands. And I thought John, you can tell by watching him that his body had just not deteriorated, but was kind of failing him just in terms of football. And I feel the same way about Peyton now, that he's almost held together by Band-Aids. And would he have been able to withstand the physical punishment that Tom Brady took against the Broncos? No. And Carolina is perfectly capable of doing that to Peyton on Sunday. I just don't see him wanting to make the commitment it takes mentally and physically to go through this again, when right now this is all he can possibly ask for. He's got a shot to win another Super Bowl. And if he loses it, is he going to have a better chance next year? If he happens to get back in the game, depending on where he's playing? No. This is his best chance now, the best chance he'll ever have to end his career on a fairy tale note. And now he's just got to go out and win the game.
A final question. As a writer of books, and I wrote a book about the Broncos a couple of years ago, is there now going to be a new chapter on the final about the two of them in paperback or whatever form?
Yeah, I think now this should not stop anybody from buying the hardcover now, because the paperback won't come out for a while. But certainly, because my cutoff date on this book was July 1st of last year, so I got the Brady suspension overturned. Brady playing the season as if every defender, 6 defenders look like Roger Goodell and 5 of them look like Ted Wells, and certainly Peyton getting to this point, and then we'll see what happens Sunday. So in the paperback, I've already talked to my publisher about it. I will be adding a chapter in the paperback. I'm not sure when that comes out, so like I said, go ahead and buy the hardcover, and then you can get the paperback too.
Absolutely. Gary, thank you very much.
You,
good luck with the book. Have fun. The people tell me to have fun. We're working.
Yeah,
you got to write. So
it's fun talking to you. I haven't had much fun other than that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, Woody.
This segment brought to you by Denver Mattress, the official sponsor of the Denver Broncos, the official mattress sponsor of the sports show. Colorado, located, Colorado proud. You can find their locations all over Denver. Also, speaking Colorado proud, Siltahar Motors was started in 1960 by Mr. Sill and Mr. Tahar. And I got to know Jack Tahar Sr. His son, Jack Tahar Jr., took over, joined the firm in 1970. You want to go out to Siltahar Motors if for no other reason. I'm not here to sell you a car. They're there to sell you a car, work with you. But here's what I tell you. It's worth going there. Maseratis, Jaguars, and my favorite, the Aston Martin. $330,000. What more do you want to say? They have the James Bond collection. They have Siltahar Lincolns and Fords and all the Ford products. But you can see throughout that acreage they have there, one of Colorado's largest car dealerships, right off the Boulder Turnpike, Broomfield, Siltahar Ford. We are the sports show at the Super Bowl, and we invite you to spend time with us. You can click on to denverpost.com. You can go to woodypaige.com, DPTV. You can find us on Facebook at The Sports Show. You can tweet us at The Sports Show. You can actually find us on YouTube at our own YouTube channel. We invite you to go back during the course of this week and see the interviews that we've had with the A-listers and the B-list or C-list host, and me and Mark Kiszla. And we'll take a break and continue with you right after this.
I am Citywide Banks.
I am Citywide Banks.
At Citywide Banks,
We put you first by exceeding your service expectations every day.
Every day.
When you go to buy a car, what do you really want? You probably want a lot of cars to choose from. And you want the dealership's best price. Not some starting price or target price, the best price. And you want it immediately, not after hours of negotiating. And you want a salesperson who doesn't get paid more if you spend more. Because, well, you don't want to spend more. Well, you're in luck. John Elway wants all of those things too. Better yet, John Elway wants you to have all of those things too. Come see us or click on johnelwaychevrolet.com.
Back on the sports show, as presented by the Denver Post and our great sponsors, Bud's Bar, Kaufman's, Big and Tall, Men's Shop, Citywide Banks, and go on and on. We will during the course of the afternoon. I'm really excited to have the master of the prediction machine, Paul. Help me pronounce it correctly because I see your site, but it's Besser.
Yeah, Bessir. Yeah,
Bessir.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Bessir.
Okay, Bessir. And thank you for joining us.
No problem.
You not only And one of the aspects of your predictions coming up about the Super Bowl, let's concentrate on that. And people can go to predictionmachine.com. How long have you been doing it?
This is my 13th Super Bowl, actually, doing this professionally. I used to work for a couple other companies, then started this company 6 years ago. This is my 7th Super Bowl then.
Yeah, and explain people a little bit about the site.
Well, our mantra is that we play the game 50,000 times before it's actually played. It's a computer program that takes into account all of the players on a play-by-play basis interacting, so all 22 of them, layering in things like weather and coaching and injuries and anything we get our hands on in the numbers. And that's nerdy, and it's supposed to be nerdy, and it's pretty sophisticated, of course. And we do it for 7 different sports, but the fun part is we've been pretty successful as well. And whether this is a conversation about gambling or otherwise, it's supposed to be 50-50 against the spread, and we're 10-2 all time in the Super Bowl. And not only 10-2 all time against the spread in the Super Bowl, 45-20 all time this time of year in the NFL playoffs against the number. So this is good and successful this time of year.
Well, let's build up to what your prediction is for the Super Bowl. Because you not only do game results, but you take on everything. And one that really interests me, and I was talking at a party a couple of nights ago with some people, Paul Zimmerman was a good friend on the Hall of Fame selection committee with me. And we would go to events together, including the Super Bowl. Yeah. And Paul, every event he went to, timed the national anthem.
Yeah, I love it. So have I. I built a formula around it.
He had a notebook. So this was, forgive me, but
You're
old
fine.
school.
Yeah, I got you.
And he would say, this is the shortest.
Yep.
And then he compiled a list. This is good. This was bad. Everything else. And he had a stroke years ago, and he's not doing so well. And I wanted to kind of take it over and get his notebook, but I don't have to. So what are you doing with the national? I mean, you make predictions about the national anthem, about the halftime show. Tell us the fun part of one of the predictions.
We do 100,000 events a year, but this is the most fun because I get to do the research. I've got Coldplay and Beyonce and loud Lady Gaga analysis, and with Lady Gaga, she's singing the national anthem. Historically, the average national anthem outside the Super Bowl is 1 minute and 42 seconds. In the Super Bowl,
it sometimes seems like it's 8 minutes to
exactly.
me.
Yeah. Well, in the Super Bowl, it's 1:57. So people go about 15 seconds longer in the Super Bowl. But only one, and the current line is 2 minutes and 20 seconds if you're going to bet on whether it's over or under for Lady Gaga on the national anthem. Only one person in the last decade has gone more than 2:20. It was Alicia Keys, I think, just 3 years ago. And she started off very slow, and it was obvious she was going over. Nobody else has even done that or gotten close. Lady Gaga's only done one appearance nationally that I could find on video where she sang the national anthem, but it was actually at a gay pride event where she changed all the words at the end, and that went 2 minutes and 18 seconds. So I feel as though there's a good chance it's under 2 minutes and 20 seconds. 2 minutes 11 is our current prediction.
Well, there was one in 1992, I want to say, during Gulf Storm, a Desert Storm, and the artist has since died, and that was considered like the ultimate national
Whitney
anthem.
Houston, I'm guessing is where we're going.
Yeah. And I agree. I mean, because the country was in a mood then.
Yep.
And I thought she dragged it out longer than anybody.
She went 2:24. She actually went 2:24. So she actually went shorter than Alicia Keys. And when that's actually counted, that's from the first note to the last note. So there was a lot leading up to both of them actually in terms of their performances. But it's when they first started singing to the end.
Well, what would be the purpose of doing stuff like that other than having fun? I mean, is a guy supposed to bet? I mean, can you?
You can bet over or under on 2 minutes and 20 seconds is the guess.
Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, these have $50 caps in terms of how much you can bet. So even though the artist itself knows the answer to that question, you're not going to get rich just off that one. But
well, what if I found out some inside information? I'm going somewhere with this that you're going to enjoy at the end of it. That you were able to get into Lady Gaga's camp.
Yep, yeah.
And somebody said, this is, to pay no attention to the people behind it. And somebody said, well, she's rehearsed it. And it's 180, 136 or whatever. Is there a way to get inside information?
Well, if you can, you still can only make $50 off of it at least. That's the only thing is the $50. So that's a limit on those.
Yeah. I think I just turned myself off. Oh, okay. It's just me. Yep. The reason why I said that, Eli and Peyton played in a game in New York. And before that game, I had Archie Manning on my show.
Okay,
in New York. I was doing a show called Cold Pizza. He told me he was going to stay totally out of the limelight, that his wife would sit in the box. He would be back in a bathroom or somewhere. I'm in Washington, D.C. doing a Monday night game for ESPN. I'm in a bar, and these two guys said, sit with us. Said, full. And they're having a conversation. They're just going to say, they're going to show Archie Manning 20 times, 30 times during the game. And I said, oh, less than 5. Oh, no.
Yeah.
I said, well, how much do you want to bet? What will break you? And so, anyway, to make the story short, I knew exactly what was going to happen. So during the game, they're waiting for the 30 or 40 times.
Up over and over and over.
Before the game started, Archie's on the field and says hello to his 2 sons. And I said, well, that doesn't count. It's from the start of the game, like you're talking
after
about.
kickoff,
to the end of the game. Final gun.
Yep.
Well, at the end of the game, he came back out into the area, but during the course of the game, he was never on. And so
always go under on shown on TV. Always. Every single one of them usually, I mean, the vast majority of them go under. But that's good inside information. So if you know any more of that, let me know.
Occasionally I find out stuff like that. Let's get to the main point.
Sure, yeah.
You've played the game now
50,000
how many times?
Yep.
50,000 times. What you got?
23-20. Carolina does win, but it's only 57% of the time. So the way I look at that, Ted Williams coming up to the bat, he's hit 400. You got a little bit better than that chance that Ted Williams got a hit, Denver Broncos win the game. It's a very close game. Defensive-oriented, obviously. I think this game comes down to the running games because the 2 defenses are clearly the best 2 defenses against the pass in the entire NFL right now. Clearly. And Denver's defense itself is the 3rd best that I've evaluated in the Super Bowl era. In the last 49 years, is the 3rd best. Best against the run, best against the pass, best pass rush, and one of the tops in turnovers of any team in the NFL this year, if you look at it based on strength of schedule adjustments and on a per-play basis. Every player grades as above average against the run and against the pass who's a starter for Denver, so the defense is awesome. The problem is the offense is where the concern is, and I think C.J. Anderson and the running game will be the key for Denver, keeping it close. We'll see if they can win.
Here's where I agree with you, that it's going to be close.
Yeah.
I don't see a blowout like in the Arizona-Carolina game. I see the Broncos have played close all year long.
Yeah.
You talked about they have a
They're
extremely good
5-1
defense.
straight up as underdogs this year.
And so I think that the number 20 is going to be very important in this game, just like it was against New England for the Broncos and that. At that point, it could go either way, I think.
And that's fair. And I mean, that's we have it as something close to a coin flip 3-point game. In our box score, actually, we have the Broncos with more total yards in the game projected than the Carolina Panthers. The difference, and it's obvious, and anybody who's watched the Panthers understands this, is in turnovers. We do have Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos with twice as many turnovers as the Carolina Panthers in our projected box score. That's the difference in the game in those 50,000 simulations, but it's close either way.
It's called the Prediction Machine.
Yep.
Go to it online.
Enjoy it.
It was a pleasure, Dan.
Thanks a lot, Woody.
Thank you for coming. I hope
No
we'll do it again in a bunch more Super Bowls. We'll take a break. I'm going to tell you about Papa John's 18 special. You can reach out to Papa John's, the new Papa John's, online, and today put in Broncos 18, you know the number, and you'll get 2 pizzas, 3 toppings for $18, papajohns.com.
For our Players' Choice pizzas, we made the NFL players' favorite pizzas. Now you can eat like an NFL player.
If I can eat like a football player, I can talk like one, I can work out like one, I can even dress like one.
Look, you can eat the pizza. You just can't steal my shorts.
Up your game with any large specialty pizza, including Players' Choice pizzas. Only $12 each.
Better ingredients, better pizza.
Better football.
At the new papajohns.com.
Is a lack of intimacy at home starting to affect your performance on the course? There are many factors like high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol that may be contributing to your erectile dysfunction. Get back in the game with one visit to Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, offering same-day solutions for all erectile dysfunction and premature issues. And you get to try the medications containing FDA ingredients right in their office. Let the providers at Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic help you get your confidence back. And be sure to ask about the $99 limited time special. Call today.
I am Citywide Banks.
I am Citywide Banks.
At Citywide Banks,
We put you first by exceeding your service expectations every day.
Every day.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Welcome back to the Sports Show. It's presented by the Denver Post and our good sponsors, Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic and Elway's Steakhouse in Denver. And I am thrilled with all the A-listers we've had. Dan Williams from the Arizona Cardinals, and I wanted the Broncos to draft you so badly. I thought you were the best defensive player coming out in the draft, and so I'm happy for you. I'm unhappy for the Denver Broncos. How's that for a start? I mean, yeah, you were with the Cardinals, and then you joined the Raiders, and when you became a free agent, and I wanted the Broncos to draft you. I then wanted them to sign you. And somehow, if I could ever get a hold of you, I will send you the stuff I wrote, thinking of how great you are.
From a fellow Tennessee Vols, so
yeah. Well, speaking of Vols, Peyton Manning. That may have had something to do with it, but it takes something special to be involved, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes, sir. I always tell people, everybody can be involved. So, it's definitely a special honor. I believe, especially being a VFL, and we're definitely a close network. We definitely support one another. So I am glad to be involved.
There are a couple of prominent Broncos, and Peyton Manning we mentioned, but there's also a defensive lineman that Malik Jackson.
Yes.
Who has proven himself in the National Football League, too. And he came out sort of undervalued, underappreciated, but he has become a Pro Bowl-type player with the Broncos.
Definitely. He was making a lot of plays, especially this year against us. He had a few sacks. So, he was a great football player. And, I followed him a little bit when he was at Tennessee, and he was making those same plays there coming out. So, to me, it's not really a big surprise.
Other than enjoying the atmosphere, and I assume you're doing that, and wandering about during Super Bowl week, and you play right across the bay over there, are you representing anybody this week? I want to give you a chance to talk about it. I mean, do you have some product to hold up? Or
no,
no just
product.
enjoying Media Center and just getting around and going to parties and stuff?
Yeah, man, just enjoying the experience, just, going around, getting to meet former players, guys I grew up watching, running to those guys and stuff, man, and it's just been great, man. Now I'm a football player, but also, the fan part of me is actually coming out, meeting a lot of Hall of Famers and, guys that you always admired growing up, it's definitely been a cool experience.
And that will be your objective one day, being one of those Hall of Famers, but also getting the ring on your finger.
Oh, yeah.
A guy I work with closely has picked the Raiders to win the division next year. And I tend to agree with the opportunity to win next year. I have great respect for Jack Del Rio. I thought he was an outstanding defensive coach when he was with the Denver Broncos. Good man, man's man, football player, grew up in this area, came back. And two, Derek Carr proved himself this year. Amari Cooper is a great wide receiver. Khalil Mack is one of the best defensive players in the league. You play alongside him. And the cap money that's available to go out and get other free agents and also have another great draft. Are you feeling it?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely feeling it. And, part of the reason I'm feeling it is because I think my team is very hungry, especially, going to Denver, this year and able to, squeak out a win and, put a lot of hard work in there. But also just seeing them in the Super Bowl, I think this kind of gives a little motivation that we are a talented team. And, we're not too many pieces away from, being, a playoff team. So, we definitely have us, excited and, ready to go for next year.
Yeah, Woodson retiring, Pro Bowl, his final game. You do need some help, I would think, in the secondary. I would guess more experience in the secondary. Maybe a little help in the offensive line. Carr, though, I thought really proved himself last year that he belongs in this league, belongs as a starter, and was not the frantic kind of quarterback he was the first year.
Yeah, I think he made a lot of strides from year one, to this past year. He's definitely a guy who wasn't a repeater. He'll make a mistake, this game, and he never did it, twice. So that's one thing, especially as a defensive player, you always appreciate when your quarterback is not turning over the ball or making, keeping sustaining drives, and that means that they're doing well, and the defense is taking the risk. So Derek, he's even better person. You know, big leader in the locker room. You know, he has respect from everybody from every position. So, you know, he's definitely he has all the tools to be a great quarterback.
Let's get to the big show. You played against the Broncos twice. You played them extremely well twice. Phil Simms, the NFL analyst for CBS who will be doing the game, sat here the other day, said Broncos defense is the best in the league. He said, but when the Carolina Panthers get off the bus, that is the biggest, best looking defense he's ever seen. Big guys, and big time guys. A lot of turnovers. Number 2 defense overall. How do you look? Is this, as a defensive guy, do you look at that the defenses are going to determine this game?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, a lot of people say it's going to be like, some people think it's going to be a high-scoring game or a blowout one way. I think it's going to be a defensive battle, and the guys going to, you know, both defenses are going to be, like, you know, focused in. And I think, you know, the defense that probably makes the first mistake is going to be the one that probably costs the team, because for the most part, it's going to be, these guys going to be, you know, I think it'll be a lot of 3 and outs. I don't see too many touchdowns, a lot of field goals.
Well, let me ask you something specifically about the Denver Broncos. You worked against them in the 2 games. Their offensive line was considered mediocre, had problems, and they had a lot of injuries. They had guys in and out of rookies. Did you see improvement in that offensive line that didn't have stabilization early, that when you played them the second time that it was an improved defense, what you've watched in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think it improved as the season went on. I mean, I think the running game got a little bit better as the season went on. And also, they, you know, for what I believe, you know, Coach Kubiak was trying to do, you know, he got the play action thing, you know, working a little bit more. And you know, that's pretty much their passing game. I think just from a standpoint, like a drop back, you know, regular shotgun, they're probably not their strong area, but if they get that run game going, you know, the whole offense opens up, and, you know, they're able to make plays, and that hurts you.
In your own specific situation, I'll end this. Peyton Manning is considered one of the best play-action guys in the league. Does you, as an interior lineman, does that freeze you for a moment that you can't, or do you just, based on where you are, you have your task and you're going to do it no matter what you're seeing out of the backfield, or can't see out of the backfield for that matter?
I would say it really depends on how the run game is going. If they done broke a few runs that, you know, that hurt you, like, you know, 10 to 15, you know, we call explosive runs, they're going to get your attention, and they'll open up the play action. I won't necessarily say, because a lot of times when you stop in the run, guys take more chances trying to get the sack. You know, once, you know, maybe they try to hit us with a pass this play. So it really depends on how their run play has been going early in the game, and kind of dictates how, you know, how they're going to react to the pass.
Dan, it's a pleasure.
All right, thanks for having me.
Go Vols.
Yes, sir.
Enjoy the weekend.
All right,
Dan Williams, great defensive lineman from the University of Tennessee, Arizona Cardinals, now the Oakland Raiders. We'll take a break and continue with the sports show as I tell you about Kaufman's Big and Tall Men's Shop on South Broadway. I've been wearing their shirts and clothing for 40 years, and I've been wearing their shirts here at the Super Bowl. Invite you to go down on South Broadway, deal with Sam Kaufman and his staff, the veteran crew of people that have been there for years and years and years. Great value, great quality in the clothing that they specifically pick out. Great people to work with, and great prices. They're having a great sale going on, and we invite you to go there. I also like to tell you about Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, Colorado's #1 men's clinic. If you're having sexual problems or you're having general health problems, Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic is your place to go. Friendly environment. My friends over there will put you in a place where you can enjoy ESPN. They'll run all the testings. They'll deal with you individually. They'll make sure that when you get through with one visit that you'll be able to, quote, get back into business. They will make sure that you're a healthy person, both sexually and your overall health, at Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. You can go to their website, RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
Is a lack of intimacy at home starting to affect your performance on the course? There are many factors like high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol that may be contributing to your erectile dysfunction. Get back in the game with one visit to Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, offering same-day solutions for all erectile dysfunction and premature issues. And you get to try the medications containing FDA ingredients right in their office. Let the providers at Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic help you get your confidence back. And be sure to ask about the $99 limited time special. Call today.
the sports show. And we were talking about A-listers. I was at a party. When I was working in New York for ESPN. I went to a charity event at the Palm, and I looked around and I said, I don't think this is an A-list. I think this is a C-list. I said, there's Mickey Dolenz, who used to be in the Monkees, Judge Judy, one of the former Backstreet Boys, the Indian in the Village People, and me. And talking about A-listers now.
Well, no, I thought you were sort of making that feel like what this was right now.
Josh Bonnell from, I've seen all the Transformer movies, but and all the, for you, how long have you been an actor now?
I've been doing it for 15 years or so.
Yeah, where'd you go to school?
Years. I'm from North Dakota originally.
I thought about that because I have spent some North Dakota time, and that is the coldest.
You've been in North Dakota?
Oh, sure. I dated a little lady from North Dakota.
Oh, you did?
And it's the Peace Garden State. Did you know that?
It is the Peace Garden State.
And I thought, really? Did somebody think that North Dakota or Canada was going to declare war on each other?
I'm not sure where that all came from. I think it's because of the relationship that Canada has with the U.S. that it is beautiful.
Because if we attacked Canada, we'd beat them in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, but why would we want to do that? Canada's, they're so nice.
But I love the people from North Dakota. Yeah. Go down to South Dakota and see Mount Rushmore. It's close to Did you make that hike into Denver ever? It's actually pretty far.
I have driven from North Dakota. That's when I first moved from North Dakota to California. I drove through it.
Yeah. But so now I think if I forgive me, I didn't look up any stuff, but you've been in like 15 or 20 movies at the point in your career. I know about most of the you've done all the Transformers.
Yeah, I did. I didn't do the last Transformers. I did the first 3.
Yeah.
It's been good. I've been blessed so far. I've been blessed in this movie that we're here talking about. The reason I'm here is
Bill Spaceman Lee.
You know Bill Spaceman Lee, of course you do.
I knew him when he pitched. I hope that you get in. I'm sure you are, that when he pitched and was on marijuana or something and threw a great game or something like that. He was called the Spaceman because he was out there.
Yeah, he was out there. He
with the Red Sox and
then the Expos.
And Montreal Expos.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have thought there would have been a movie. What was the germation, if you will, of
he's one of those characters that, in Boston, in Montreal, he's sort of a cult figure in a lot of ways, and it's sort of grown as he's, as his time away from baseball has grown. So there was a documentary. He wrote a book, and then there was a documentary that was on him, and then the guy that wrote and directed the script that the movie that we just finished also did a documentary on him. He sent me that documentary. I read the script and started reading a little bit about him. And I love the fact that this guy isn't that well known, but he is a bit of a cult figure in a lot of ways. And he did things that were so sort of progressive for his time that ultimately ended up getting him blackballed from baseball. I mean, cover of High Times magazine, he wasn't afraid to admit that he experimented with hallucinogens and all this stuff that just like put the establishment of baseball on their heels.
I would. Is this fair to say that?
And he was a good pitcher.
He also scared baseball because of his intelligence level.
Yes, exactly.
Because he was Phil Jackson-like.
Yeah.
When Phil Jackson was playing, Phil was kind of Bill Walton.
Yeah.
That I would put them in same categories. Very intelligent people who weren't afraid to express opinions, weren't afraid to, as you say, experiment with some things that maybe weren't legal at the time.
Yeah.
Most of them are legal in Colorado now, or out here on the street. But
you're exactly
I think you have
right,
to kind of, but you'll have to kind of develop the characters so that it goes. The people who didn't follow him in baseball. I mean, I assume that's the thrust of the campaign.
To me, he was more fascinating outside of baseball than he was, and he was a good pitcher. He won 17 games 3 years in a row.
He's one of those goofy left-handers is how people portrayed him early on. Oh, all left-handers are got to be goofs.
Yeah. And so it was really about. You're right. I think he was a threat in a lot of ways to the baseball establishment.
Yeah.
And they didn't like it. They didn't like the things that he talked about, even though, 30 years later, he was right about a lot of that, whether it's about the environment or whether it's about, yoga or meditation or all these things that just seemed like foo-foo stuff back then. People are, it's sort of normal now.
A couple of questions about the movie. Also, I want to ask you about this, and I know you're running around working. Kevin Costner came in a couple of years ago after he'd done Draft Day, and he said, I only got 3 minutes. And an hour and a half later, he said, because he had done so many, Kevin Costner's done so many sports movies. Yeah. Do you like the aspect of doing a sports movie, first of all?
I love it. It's been a dream of mine ever since I got in this business. But unfortunately, I'm 43 now, so if I'm going to play a sports guy, it's a guy who's desperately clinging to the end of his career.
Yeah. Second part of it, are you left-handed?
I'm a righty. But what we did is the back of my...
There's a reason why I asked that, because I thought that. Because I could tell the way you work in your hands. Yeah. I could tell you're right-handed. I went, well, now they're going to discuss it.
I pitched and threw footballs my whole life. And so my issue wasn't throwing. It was nobody needs to see me throw a ball left-handed. So what they did is we just reversed the negative, and it looks like I'm throwing left.
Were you told that in the Lou Gehrig story, the famous actor that played Lou Gehrig, they actually reversed everything so that he could be left-handed. Mm-hmm. He was a right-handed man. But they also had him run to third base.
Yeah, that's what we did. We had everybody run third, second, first,
are we revealing something here? Because nobody ever told you that was the first movie where they actually just reversed all the three.
I thought we invented that whole idea, but I guess not. I guess it's been done.
Go back and look. You're an intelligent guy. Yeah. Go back and look that up, that it was Gary Cooper, who was a famous actor in the 30s, 40s.
He played Gehrig, that's right.
Yeah, and everything was backward. Mm-hmm. The numbers on the back of the uniform, I assume you had to do all of that. Yeah. The one thing, and I'm sure, even at 43, is that people who follow sports hate to see movies where, and Costner and I talk about, where the guy can't do.
It drives me crazy.
You've done that.
Whether it's shooting a basketball or swinging a bat or
in the case of Costner, one of his movies was a golf movie, Tin Cup.
Yeah.
And he actually worked on his game for like a year, so he looked like a golfer. So, I mean, how much time did you have to spend with Bill, or did Bill?
I worked a lot with Bill, and I worked. I studied. My issue wasn't throwing, because I've thrown my whole life. My issue was making sure I had his mechanics, because he had a very interesting release. He had this high leg kick, little mannerisms that he did on top of the mound, just all sorts of things that I wanted to get right. And I'm really proud of the movie. It's one of those things where and I don't say this about all of them, believe me, but this one, there's something really watchable.
When's it coming out?
We're targeting for All-Star Weekend.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Speaking of All-Star events and things, first Super Bowl?
No, I've been to a few. I've been to, I think this is my fourth. I'm not going to be here for the game. I'm just going to be here for a couple of days and go back.
Well, then the final question is, most people are picking Carolina. You're kind of a homeboy in the sense of in the Rocky Mountain time zone.
Yeah.
Are you pulling for the Broncos, or do you care?
No, I do actually care. Obviously the Vikes aren't there, so I don't really have a horse in the race. But this is my inner Swami. I feel like Denver's defense is fast and nasty, and defense wins championships. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for Newton. I don't think that I really don't think the Panthers are going to be able to get off to a fast start like they have in the last few games. And I think that it's a defensive struggle, but I think the Broncos win 27-17.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, half of North Dakota pulls for the Broncos and half for the Vikings.
Yeah.
It goes both ways.
And the Packers.
And a final point about North Dakota. Fans. Only place where I played golf where there's black sand from.
You're talking about Hawk Tree.
Yeah.
Right outside of Bismarck.
Yeah. Yeah. And a friend of mine, the guy, I have to think of it, the architect actually went in there and said, we wanted to go with the black sand because it's black sand everywhere in the state. So,
yeah.
Bismarck is the Christmas ever spent in my life.
Yeah, it's
Josh,
it's pretty rough.
I know you got a bunch more to do, but it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you, and I hope we'll continue to promote on the show.
I appreciate it.
I'm
a big fan,
movie.
Woody.
Oh,
Keep up the good work, buddy.
I'm
looking for our chalkboard back here. There's nothing.
Where's the chalkboard?
Oh, there we go.
Show the other side.
Break. Get him off. What does that mean? Get him off the air.
Thanks again.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll take it. Josh, look for the movie coming out All-Star Weekend. We'll promote it. Oh, sure. Yeah, it's live TV. It doesn't matter. Hi, Ben. If you're ever in Denver,
can I do one? Are you guys going to write to something right away?
Yeah, I thought your guys are dragging you somewhere else.
Put it, and I want to get a picture of it. The famous chalkboard.
Yeah. She actually does the writing. This is Madison. She's
yeah?
my assistant. We're doing Around the Horn from here out in San Francisco. Yeah, put your name on it. See, Madison, how long it takes for him to come up with one? This is not easy. See, I do them on bar tabs. And lefty at, well, we're going to save it.
There we go.
You got a chalkboard now.
That's all I can come up with.
When you come to Denver, come and do the show.
I'd love to.
Wayne Gretzky, Wayne Gretzky wants to do the show, so if you're in L.A., we'll have you go to the studio and do the show with us there.
I'd love to. Nice to meet you, man.
My pleasure. Thank you. We'll take a. Yeah, we have an interview with Jen Walters, and we've had her on the show in the past. Jen is a great conditioning coach. She deals with the mental side of football. She has coached some in the USFL. She has become the first assistant coach in the Arena Football League. And Mark Kiszla did an interview with Jen Walters earlier, and we'd like for you to take a look at it.
For our Players' Choice Pizzas, we made the NFL players' favorite pizzas. Now you can eat like an NFL player.
If I can eat like a football player, I can talk like one. I can work out like one. I can even dress like one.
Look, you can eat the pizza. You just can't steal my shorts.
Up your game with any large specialty pizza, including Players' Choice Pizzas. Only $12 each.
Better ingredients, better pizza.
Better football.
At the new PapaJohns.com.
I'm Mark Kiszla, and I'm honored to have the coach, Jen Welter, who coached linebackers for the Arizona Cardinals this past summer, correct?
Absolutely. It was a great time.
What was the best part about it?
The guys.
Yeah.
I mean, really, just so many good relationships that they'll be there for, the rest of my life. Like we said, getting to spend every waking moment with a guy like Larry Foote and, learning from him and actually have him see you as a peer and joking and laughing and doing football all at the same time. Like, these are priceless times.
Larry Foote is an old school football guy.
Yes,
so
he is.
when Jen walks in the door or kicks down the door and said, I'm here, I'm a woman and I can coach football, how did Footy treat you?
Well, I'm not really the kick down the door or like, I can do this, you have to treat me a certain way kind of person. Like, I just came in with the attitude of, Footy, you're one of the greats in this game.
Right.
You know this game. He played with it in Pittsburgh and then in Arizona. How can I help you?
Right.
Like, what do you need from me? And the way we would work is I would kind of call him like the master puppeteer, where he saw all the angles.
Right.
And I was newer to the system, so what I could do was support Footy by going in and reinforcing technique points.
Right.
Which was something I had to be very good at in my career, because at 5'2", 130 pounds, I was not going to outbig anybody.
No, especially Larry Foote.
Right. And I was not going to outbig anybody, so I had to be very, very good on techniques. And, he was a new coach as well, so we just really, I think we had the funnest position group,
Right.
absolutely. And, he would let me be very active in drills and everything else.
Okay. Quite often in sports, you have to prove it on the field. Did you have to prove it to Foot or not?
I proved it before I walked in the door. They
Okay.
saw my game film.
Okay.
Those guys, before I got into Arizona, they had all done their homework. I mean, I would have guys come up
So
to
they
me
had
and be
a
like,
scouting report on you.
yes. Oh, man, they knew everything about me. I was so impressed by these guys in Arizona. It was like they had watched my tape for years. Coach, you were a beast coming off the edge. I saw you play when you played with such and such. And, I mean, they knew everything.
Okay. This is Jen Welter, first female NFL coach. And for our viewers, tell us your background in the sport, because a lot of them don't know you could play some ball now.
Yes.
And how did you fall in love with football? And take us real quickly through your journey through the sport.
Yeah.
Before you were a coach, when you were a football player.
Yes. Well, I actually got my first opportunity to play tackle sports when I played rugby at Boston College for all 4 years.
Gotcha.
So I learned how to tackle with no pads and no helmet.
Right.
There were no opportunities for women to play football at that time, and it was really just starting when I got done with college. I went to an open tryout for the team called the Mass Mutiny, made it, and
female team or male team?
Yes, absolutely. It was an all-female team, which I played in women's leagues for 14 years. But it went from, learning how to tackle with no pads and no helmet in rugby. Then you gave me pads and a helmet. Shoot, I was fearless. You couldn't tell me anything. I'd look at pictures later, and I'd be like, man, that girl was really big. I don't even know how I did that. But on the field, it was never that way.
Right.
And I really just fell in love with the game. I knew when I started playing it was where I was supposed to be. I didn't know how that would bake out. I mean, women's football, for those who don't know it, like, it's a grind. Like, we were working full-time by day and playing football at night.
Right.
The first check I ever got for playing football was at the end of the 2004 season. We won our first world championship, and I literally got a check for $12.
Nice.
And that
did you
check,
get a championship ring? Did you
I
get
did.
a trophy? Did you
I
get
did.
a participation
Hey,
ribbon?
I have
What
lots
did
of
you get?
jewelry. I have lots of jewelry. I have 4 championship rings from when I played and 2 from the gold medals that I won overseas. But that check, literally $1 a game, was the difference between being an amateur and a professional.
Yes.
And it was the most significant moment in my career at that time. And that check I actually brought with me to Arizona, because I would tell anybody I didn't start playing football to be in the National Football League. That was a dream I wasn't permitted to have. But in those 14 years, I had the honor of winning 4 Super Bowls, of, being a Pro Bowler like 8 times or something. I got to play on the very first women's U.S. national team and represent my country overseas, and then the second, won 2 gold medals, then was the first woman to play running back in men's professional football with the Texas Revolution. From playing on that team, it was the relationships I fostered with the players and the respect that we had that caught the attention of the new head coach, Wendell Davis, who offered me a coaching position, and I turned him down.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know if I'm ready to coach. I don't know if I still want to play. And, you want to throw me right into men's professional football. And he said, Jen, not a lot of guys are going to give you this opportunity. You're going to take this job.
Yeah, and so you did.
Well, he actually accepted it on my behalf with the Revolution before I'd even told him yes. So I'm very thankful to Wendell Davis for essentially seeing something in me before I'd seen it in myself.
Yep.
And then a lot of the same with Bruce Arians. The opportunity with Bruce came up when at the NFL owners meetings and they hired Sarah Thomas. Someone asked Bruce Arians, could you ever see a female coaching in the NFL? And he said, absolutely, why not?
Yep.
From that conversation, I talked to my head coach about it, and he said, well, we should call Bruce. Can you get his number? And I'm thinking, are you crazy?
Mm-hmm.
So I called the Arizona Cardinals as Devin's assistant. I didn't say I was his assistant coach, and I talked to them about me. Being a female athlete, it's a full-time hustle.
Yeah.
So I talked to them about me on behalf of myself, as myself, however that played out.
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks later, Bruce called Devin back and said, basically, tell me about this girl.
Yeah.
And he invited me out to OTAs. I went in and met with him, and he really said, I don't know yet if I can make this happen. I have to get a lot of yeses, but I want you to know that it's in my heart to try. And so it wasn't about banging down doors or demanding that somebody should let me in. It was literally Bruce Arians seeing something in me and extending a hand out.
Let's take care of business.
Yes.
You love football.
I do.
guess you love ice cream, too.
I
do. Tell us about your relationship with Cold Stone here.
Well, I look at it this way. We obviously sweetened up the NFL. We made it a much more palatable place by putting the first female on the sidelines.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So Cold Stone Creamery decided to help me sweeten up Radio Row and to support my trip out here. And, we've been bringing ice cream and now even gifts to everyone.
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
Last thing I got for you.
And very important.
You are very important. If you're bringing the ice cream and you
Yes.
can carry the rock, you are important.
Well, I say I might be the most desirable woman on Radio Row because I know football and I'm bringing ice cream.
What more could you want? I've had a long-term relationship, somebody I covered, Becky Hammond, who played basketball at Colorado State.
Yes.
Joined the San Antonio Spurs. A lot of people think that Becky Hammond will be a head coach in the NBA maybe sooner than later. Will there ever be a female head coach in the NFL?
First of all, it's neck and neck between Becky and Nancy Lieberman.
Okay.
I don't know Becky, but I have so
You
much
don't know
respect for her. I know Nancy very well, and she was somebody I looked to in my career because there wasn't a female football player that I could look up to. So the closest thing you've got is, the basketball. So very much respect for Becky and Nancy, and one of them will absolutely be a head coach in the NBA. Football will take a little longer,
right?
Because there isn't the established kind of feeder system between like the women's football and the NFL, like there is between the WNBA and the NBA.
Gotcha.
But it will happen.
Okay.
I have lots of friends of mine who coach, and my former Team USA teammates, I see them, making waves in football. In Pittsburgh, they have a great team there that's been coached by women for a long time. Dallas Elite, my former teammate Odessa Jenkins owns and coaches the team. Ninji Martin, my former teammate, is out in California. She's a head coach of a high school team. Katie Sowers just coached receivers at the East-West Shrine Bowl. These women are now at the point where they've had good, long, established playing careers. And for those of us who love the game, the next phase, the next evolution is the coaching track. Obviously, you just had the first female coaching in the NFL in the 50-year mark.
Right.
So is it going to take a long time? Sure. But look at the track and the tenure that it takes for any man to be a head coach in the National Football League. There's a lot of time ingrained, but it'll happen.
Okay, Jen, I can't wait for the day to come when you're the head coach of, say, the Green Bay Packers, and I say, why didn't you go for 4th and 1? So I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
I am Citywide Banks.
I am Citywide Banks.
At Citywide Banks,
We put you first by exceeding your service expectations every day.
Every day.
This is the Denver Post's The Sports Show. I'm Woody Paige, and we appreciate all the guests that we've had today and appreciate your attention. And I want to run through our sponsors and tell you what we've got going the rest of the week and what's going on out here. First of all, sad news of the day. Antonio Smith, the Broncos defensive lineman, his father, he learned today that his father's died. Murphy, the defensive secondary player on the practice squad, has been sent home. He has not been dismissed from the practice squad, but he was involved along with his brother in a thank you, Josh. Say hello to your wife for me. Tell your wife I love her. Okay. You do too, yeah. So we really want to thank Josh and look for the movie. You didn't tell us the name of the movie, Josh. Lefty at Heart. Going to Blackboard. Anyway, it's real fun being out here, and people say, "Oh, you must really enjoy it." Well, it's frantic, it's hectic throughout the press center. I can tell you that the mall over there where the shopping is the most popular place around here, and the NFL Experience across the street, Super City, where they blocked out roads. There are parties going on last night, the media party, which the staff here enjoyed thoroughly. I didn't. I sat in a corner and sort of just had some sliders and did nothing. Bunch of parties going on during the course of the week. We'll continue to tell you about those. Be sure to read the stories written by the Denver Post staff. Look at all of the photojournalists and what they're doing while they're here. The Post has dozen or more people here that are spread out all over the valley in the Bay Area doing great stories for you. And I hope you'll get a chance to read the column I wrote tomorrow about my visit with John Ralston, the architect, the original architect of the team that went to the Super Bowl. And it's intriguing, I think you'll find, but also sad in a lot of different ways. So that's tomorrow in the Denver Post and denverpost.com. You can find us on Facebook, The Sports Show. You can tweet us during the course of the week, and we'll read your tweets and have Madison's mailbag. Where was that today, Madison? We'll have Madison's mailbag for you tomorrow. Mark Kiszla joined us. Other writers from the Denver Post will continue to stop by. Actors, entertainers, athletes, coaches. We'll be really getting into it on Thursday and Friday. So for the entire staff, and Eric and Vince and Dane and Madison and Nicole and John and everybody else who's been a part of this, we want to tell you and thank especially our sponsors, Denver Mattress, the official sponsor of the Denver Broncos, the official sponsor of the Sports Show. Siltahar Motors out in Broomfield. If you're looking for a great Lincoln SUV, the place to go, Siltahar Motors. Also, if you're just interested in looking at the Aston Martins and the new one that's featured in the movie Spectre, they have the James Bond collection. They have the Jaguars. They have the Maseratis that are just incredible. It's worth going out there and just spending some time if you are interested in cars. But if you're interested in buying a car, your very first car or your dream car, that's the place to go, Siltahar Motors. Bud's Bar in Sedalia, our friends down there, they have the best burger in Colorado, maybe the best burger in the country. And don't just believe me. If you go online and you look up the 10 best burgers in the country, you'll see that Bud's Bar in Sedalia is on that list. It will be a treat for you. Kaufman Big and Men's Tall Shop. These are all sponsors that made this possible for us to be at the Super Bowl. Sam Kaufman, longtime friend, great place. If you're a big or tall man, or you are buying for a big or tall man, there's no bigger or taller or better place to go than Kaufman's. Citywide Banks have been a good sponsor of ours for more than a year. Colorado-owned, family-focused. They are a bank that participates in Colorado charities and participates in helping you make your business grow. Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, the best men's clinic in Colorado. You can reach them on RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com or call them, and one visit can turn your life around. Elway Steakhouse in Cherry Creek, the best steaks in Colorado. Try the bone-in ribeye. Try those side dishes. Try the lobster. It is one of the most fantastic restaurants you'll find anywhere in Colorado. And the service, the quality of what they do there is unmatched. New York Daily News, my good friends own and manage the place and run the place, and they make it Denver's best delicatessen, one of Denver's best restaurants. If you're looking for anything from matzo ball soup to prime rib, from spaghetti to great desserts, the place to go, New York Daily News. The corned beef sandwich there, I have as often as I can. Breakfast once a week. If you go once, you'll go the rest of your life. Papa John's 18 special. Go online and put in the word Broncos 18, signifying, of course, Peyton Manning, and get 2 pizzas today with 3 toppings for $18. And finally, Hacienda Colorado, Denver, and Colorado's finest Mexican restaurant. That sounds like an oxymoron to some people, but their food is above the standard and a class above all other Mexican food in Denver. From their queso dip to their sauces, you can get 6 different sauces on your meals there. The entrees include a Baja shrimp that I just love. But if you are looking for taco and enchilada specials, you're looking for steaks that are Mexican-style steaks, Hacienda, Colorado. We want to thank all our great sponsors. We want to thank you for joining us. That wraps it up for today from the Moscone Convention Center in San Francisco, downtown San Francisco, where the Super Bowl continues to happen. Not the game, but all of the events surrounding it as we lead you up to Super Bowl 50 on Sunday. Thanks a lot. Have a great afternoon.